Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, is the WWE Performance Center moving to Las Vegas?
This top AEW star hurt by political moves in WWE.
Tony Khan celebrates All In.
And a former AEW wrestler admits he wasn't ready for the spots.
I'm Andy Murray.
I'm Michael Amphlett.
And this was the first take of the news.
Definitely.
That's why we were both laughing during the introduction there. All right, let's start this one off by talking about the Performance Center.
Yes.
Lots of stuff going around. Lots of this is happening, no, this is not happening, no, this is maybe happening, no, it's not happening. We're going to cover it all.
Yeah.
We're going to go through every single one. So, talk that the Performance Center would be moving from Orlando, Florida to Las Vegas, Nevada emerged yesterday when WrestleVotes tweeted the following. According to a source, there was an all-employee meeting today at WWE HQ in Stamford, hosted by Mark Shapiro, who's a higher-uppy man in TKO and Endeavor and all that stuff. I'm told the biggest news to come out of the meeting was that the Performance Center will be moving to Las Vegas in the near future. Well, very quickly, Sean Ross Scoops of Fightful.com kind of published something of a rumor killer on this. The key points from the Fightful reports are the WWE sources have claimed the claim that the PC is moving to Vegas is false, according to those sources. They say Shapiro didn't announce this during a meeting unless another meeting happened that nobody knew about, apart from WrestleVote sources, I guess. Shapiro did not make an announcement of the PC moving, according to these sources. He said he did, however, say that Las Vegas was a big sports and entertainment destination. Having a WWE presence there might be on the table at some point, but there's no word on what that presence will be or the extent of it or anything like that. Now, Performance Center sources that Fightful spoke to have not heard of any moving plans, and they were actually quite shocked about all of this. And they've touted things like the proximity of the PC to where people on the main roster live, so they have access to the PC, and also the cost of living for trainees is a bit better in Orlando than it would be in Vegas. So, WrestleVotes, this is like a game of ping pong, this one. They came back in and said, I've reached back out to the source after the follow-up from Sean Ross Sapp. They are still confident in our initial report about Vegas. I'm told that this is also not an overnight thing and could take some time. So in the end, time will tell. PW Insider also published a rumor killer here. They titled theirs a rumor killer. Yeah. And the tone was quite snarky. But they said Mike Johnson, at least it's not the other guy from PW Insider. Oh boy. Mike Johnson said, three sources who were in the room when this meeting happened with Shapiro claimed that nothing of the sort was said. Shapiro had mentioned the UFC Apex being remodeled and that Vegas is an important market, but none of this was connected to WWE or the PC. So there you go. You can kind of read all of those and make your own mind up as to what's actually happening here. I've spoken a lot, so you can speak.
Well, yeah, it's... My own mind was made up having kind of like digested all of that, and I was the same as you were reading it there. That's how I was tracking it last night. There's a thing, oh, there's another thing, there's an opposition thing, oh, that's contradicted that first thing. But I will say, this is not the first time this year we've had a story that was sort of like teased out with three scoops, then debunked, that was to do with Las Vegas, that then turned out to be true. Do you remember when WWE held their WrestleMania kickoff in Vegas?
Yes.
And it was thought that was going to be an announcement that the planned WrestleMania for Minnesota was going to shift to Vegas. No announcement was forthcoming, but we got there eventually. It just took time. I wonder, and again, just speculation on my part, if there are absolutely high-level conversations going on, and they just didn't happen in the meeting that was discussed. Like WWE, TKO, the Apex was something that sprung to mind for me. There is an increasing presence in the Vegas area for TKO as an organisation, of which WWE is a huge part. We kind of just accept that the Performance Center and all WWE developmental will be based in Florida. It's taken as read now because it's been about 20 years since it wasn't. You know, if you've got SCW and the Performance Center, it's been located in that state. We know about all the wrestlers that live in the Tampa area. Like Florida's always seen as like, okay, I'll be getting this wrong. It's like a good state for tax, I believe, and wrestlers like that
I
sort of thing.
So
there's always been this like sort of wrestling fan understanding that Florida is it for wrestlers, and yet increasingly Vegas looks to be becoming the place for WWE and TKO business. So I would expect that down the line we will be getting our little aggregatory hands on this sort of thing once again, and we might have to revisit this, because I sense, oddly, for a wrestling story, nobody is lying here.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that anyone who's in the business, well, apart from certain Twitter accounts that I won't give the honour of mentioning, I don't think that people generally make stuff up.
No.
Like people, like I don't think for a second the WrestleVotes went, this will be a good lie to
This will
tell.
stress out hundreds of wrestlers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. I think they genuinely are just passing on what they've heard from their sources.
Yeah.
And it's entirely possible that everyone who has been involved in this circle here, from Fightful to BW Insider, is speaking to completely different people who have completely different takes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like the truth probably lies. I believe that everything that came out here is exactly what the sources claimed, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, we'll see what happens. Who knows? It's a big mystery. Why would you want to leave Florida? It's like the best place in the world, though. It's like you can't go near water because you'll get eaten by an alligator.
Correct.
It's like 900 degrees even in the winter.
Incredible access to Epcot.
Yep, perfect.
Right there.
Every dirty ass food chain you can think of. I actually love Florida, despite
it's one of my favourite places.
Yeah.
The favourite place in the world might be International Drive. I wish I could just bounce from restaurant to restaurant and I drive.
Stop off at Top Golf on the way back.
Oh my
what a
God.
sensational place. I love Florida, man.
I saw somebody as fit as a shoot here hit the 18th hole or the 19th hole, whatever it is, at one of the volcano themed one, and it actually had pyro for an eruption when the person got the free game. I was like,
the golf ball went up and
they do it better here. Do you know who's doing it better somewhere else? Is Swerve Strickland. We're just days removed from that incredible.
That's Isaiah Scott, sir.
So, excuse me, yes, that's who we're going to reference here. Just days removed from just his all-timer performance in the main event of All In Wembley. And he was speaking on the Rich Eisen show. These were comments made before All In, but they're kind of all the more relevant now, I guess. He was asked, I guess, about his time in WWE and maybe why he thinks he didn't ascend in the way he ultimately has done in AEW. And he noted, quote, "Political moves, just political moves. That's all I can say. I'll just leave it at that." For those that have forgotten, and it does seem like a different timeline at this point, doesn't it? Between 2019 and 2021, indeed, Isaiah Swerve Scott was part of NXT and then briefly WWE in kind of an abandoned hit row call-up. He was gone by early 2022, by which point, I think it was April time, he started appearing more regularly in AEW, and WWE just pursued hit row again without him. At this point, he was had his feet under the table in AEW, and he's rose quickly through the ranks. He went on to talk more about his current status and said, "I worked my way up from the bottom. You can put me in battle royals, I'll lose them all, I don't care. Give me the opportunity to show out, give me an opportunity to say, hey, give me like a minute of TV time in this spot, okay, I'm going to make something matter." That's just something you can ask for anywhere else. You can't just ask for a minute and get it. I don't care if it's Dynamite, Rampage, Collision or Ring of Honor. Getting television time forwarded to you is valuable. It's up to you what you do with it. Yeah, obviously the TV time was at a premium, as it always is in WWE, and he did, I remember at the time, make the most of all of it. He was always highly touted. I think me and you were at the same show, seeing what's on the British Indies.
Yeah,
he came with like so much indie
on the Elites Fight Club.
That's right, because he'd worked every indie, everybody had seen what he had, and then when he was finally getting into an NXT that still had some credibility, it felt like it was going to be the run. Didn't happen, but to say he's made it happen in AEW would be the understatement of the year.
Yeah, definitely. He's like the ultimate AEW success story in terms of WWE crossovers, isn't he? Because he's just had this excellent title run where he continually presented himself, and the company also presented him as the biggest deal in the promotion. I thought his title run was absolutely excellent. Not the longest one in company history, but number 2 will be longer than number 1, and maybe number 3 will be even longer. I have always thought the Shane Strickland was a tremendous professional wrestler with immense upside from the moment I first saw him dancing down to the ring on the indies to Ain't Nobody.
We'll get it again one day.
It's great.
When he's like a fully fledged, like ultra babyface legacy guy, we'll get it again.
That's the boop, 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 boop. That's how the song starts. Boop, 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 boop. It's really good.
It was recorded underwater.
It was by a fish. So yeah, I've always thought that he was destined for the stars, and he's there now. I think it's just an incredible success story, and yes, a lot of people will go to AEW sometimes and maybe they'll have a hot few 6 weeks or so, and then maybe they'll fade out. Like, people go missing from TV quite a bit in AEW, right? So I totally agree with what he's saying about making the most of TV time. I think he's awesome. I think he can talk. He feels like a star. He's a great wrestler. He's bulked out a fair bit since like I first saw him and stuff like that as well.
Tweaked his working style alongside that, hasn't he? But,
yeah, definitely.
Like main event style, whatever that even is in 2024, he's found it.
Yeah, exactly. He's filled in a few of the spaces between the moves and things like that, all the great cliches that we talk about in wrestling. I think that Triple H probably looks at him and goes, yeah, I could have done a lot more with this guy. He's awesome. And look, I liked Hit Row when they started out in NXT. I liked the Cypher segment and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then, bringing them back without Swerve, and it was like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Not a historic WWE stable in terms of
not really
success in the end. But hey, look, Swerve rules, and I'm really glad he's getting to have this run because he rules and he rules.
100%.
Let's talk about our next story. Tony Khan, he's been on Twitter, shockingly, but no, he's just been celebrating a little bit after All In.
Yeah.
Numbers, metrics, stuff. I'll read the tweet and I won't do a funny voice because that is not actually that accurate. He doesn't actually speak like that, you silly sausages. Right, he says, great news. With over 50,000 tickets sold at Wembley Stadium for All In, I think it's our best show ever. It was also part of our top 2 pay-per-view buys in the year, along with Revolution. What a 2024 AEW. See you on Wednesday for Dynamite tomorrow. So, what am I talking about? Revolution. If we're saying that's the highest pay-per-view buy of the year, that did 180,000. So you can probably slot All In down there, and that had Sting's retirement on it. Of course, it did a nice number, right?
And he was teased this week, so we can give Sting the credit for both numbers.
Yeah, there you go. Why not? He was on, and he was on this. So it is the Stinger. So there's no word on the actual amount of people that were in the building yet. Obviously, they sold over 50,000 tickets, but I think I saw Brandon Thurston tweet that he's putting an FOI request to Brent Council.
The lads at Brent Council are busy again, aren't they? They wonder what goes on this time of year when they get all these wrestling fans.
Why are all these guys with Roman Reigns avatars emailing us? What's going on? Who's this? Why is Sasha Banks sending me a message? But yeah, we'll find out how many people were in the building. It'll come out, and all of that. On the whole, a really monumental success, I think, and the event was really good. So thumbs up.
Yeah, take a victory lap here. AEW, it's weird. I don't think anybody would have been saying, even 7 days ago, that AEW were wrong to shift All In to Dallas in 2025. 50,000 is an amazing success. It's 30,000 less than last year, so you can kind of make a rational judgment that there would be a dip again in 2025. So the break will probably be as good as them actually running it. They've already promoted that they will be back in 2026. And I think this year was so successful that they might actually see an upward trend for 2026. I think people will miss it in the UK next year. AEW did what I think in 30 plus, too many, 35 years of going and watching shows in the UK, did, I think, at the weekend what no wrestling show has ever done before. Even those great TNA tour years, they created a WrestleMania weekend in the UK, genuinely. There was London is such a scattered capital city, and I was darting around different bits of it all weekend, and it felt that wrestling was everywhere. Whether that people's t-shirts, the various indie shows, the subsidiary events, thank you again, anybody that came to our podcast. It was just like the perfect sort of pro wrestling hotbed destination that WrestleMania has curated all these years in America. AEW is the first to ever do that in the UK to such an extent. WWE may return to London based on what we were seeing a few weeks ago, but the bar has now been set by All Elite Wrestling, and Tony Khan should absolutely sort of accept his flowers for that one. And again, like I say, 2026, I actually think the memories of this year will go a long way to boosting that house and getting the number even higher than this year.
I think it's a good thing to do, absolutely, to take All In to Texas next year.
Yeah.
I think that it's also good that they're taking Grand Slam to Australia because the Arthur Ashe numbers have really declined, this year in particular. It's just a question of not oversaturating markets and making people miss the shows and stuff. So I think it's good business, and
with an AEW sort of tone to the last story, somebody that wasn't at All In, and I guess in hindsight would maybe see that even he could understand why, is Brock Anderson. Remember him? Obviously came in kind of alongside Arn Anderson as part of Cody Rhodes' entourage during the kind of the Codyverse, and as things were starting to swell a little bit for Cody and All Elite Wrestling. Well, he's been speaking quite frankly about his time in All Elite Wrestling to the Under the Ring podcast. Brock said, quote, "When I was at AEW, hindsight's 2020, you can look back and see that things weren't going to be good the way they were. But I didn't know. It was a new company. I didn't know what was going to happen. I don't think, looking back, I was ready for that. Because for young guys, there is no setup to learn and grasp the business. It's basically just TV." Now, what Brock is obviously referring to there is that, there was no, other than house rules and very, very slim exceptions, everything you see in AEW is pretty much everything they make. You've got Rampage. You previously had Dark and Dark Elevation. Now there's Collision. And Brock Anderson was kind of a feature of those ancillary shows more than he was Dynamite. And he's suggesting here, I guess, that he didn't feel like there was an opportunity to get more ring time, get more reps, perhaps, get the cage match sort of profile up, that kind of thing. And I guess that's sort of worthy of a bit of debate. Of course, AEW wrestlers are kind of more, as I understand it, freer to work indie dates and get around a bit more than you would be doing your sort of like your NXT reps in the Performance Center, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think Brock admitting that he wasn't ready is one side of it, and I think the other side is him maybe suggesting that he wouldn't have minded a bit more ring time to try and tighten up.
Yeah, definitely. Like the one thing that is proven to get wrestlers better over and over through decades and decades and decades, and it will continue this way, is reps.
Yeah.
It's working as many matches as possible, ideally with wrestlers who are better than you.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're not getting the opportunity to do that, I can see why he would be feel like he's not ready or feel like he's a bit frustrated or whatever. I think that this is Brock's lived experience, and I think to deny anything he said here would be a bit silly. Because we're not there. We don't know. We're not sitting there watching people run through drills before the show or anything like that, right? So I think his comments are reflective of his time there. So I'm not going to criticize him for any of it. It's what he lived through. AEW, who knows how the independent thing works? Like, our wrestlers are free to just go wherever the heck they want and take bookings here and there. A lot of them do. A lot of them don't. A lot of them just do the TV, and that's totally fine as well. But if there are opportunities to get out on the road and take indie dates, that seems like a smart thing for people to take up on. So, yeah, I mean, people will make the argument that maybe they need their equivalent of a PC and like a training center and all this stuff. Maybe they do. Who knows? But I think that a wrestler like Brock, like not to be kind to him, like not a whole lot of progression from start to end, but maybe that's not his fault.
He's also 27, like that's now about 10 years shy of the wrestler prime these days. Like
that's the same age as his dad.
That only gets older and older, that wrestler prime. So he's got as long as he wants if he wants to stick at it. And I do think it's always difficult, you know, it's the age-old thing about second-generation wrestlers. It's the sort of, there are a number of different things where like, wrestlers maybe have to be judicious in their indie choices, and maybe he thought I should try and become just a TV fixture because he did come in kind of as a TV face before he was ever a TV wrestler. Well, not least because he has his dad's, you know. So like, there's a million different ways to skin the cat in wrestling, isn't there? I just think that's, as you pointed out, that's kind of like that's Brock Anderson's journey up to this point. But he may find he goes 10 different ways before he really finds what fits.
Yeah, 100%. I think. I love Arn, and I love all the Andersons really. Ollie's personal views, not so much, but you know his promos really good, and also he punched in the face really hard in his matches. But I love Arn Anderson, and I wish all the best for Brock. I'd love to see him get to like. I mean, even a percentage of how awesome his dad was in his prime.
And there is time.
Yeah, there's plenty of time. He's 27. He can go and work whatever shows the heck he wants. So maybe I don't know, 2 or 3 years from now, we're going, hey, Brock I almost call him Brock Lesnar. Brock Anderson, one AEW slip through the net.
Maybe he's working Brock Lesnar. Maybe they just do a Brock versus Brock down the road. Get you down a road.
Brock down. Let's go. Are there any other Brocks in wrestling that we can
The Brock, of course.
The Brock.
He's fighting Cody at WrestleMania.
Yes. Mark Rollerball Brocco is another one.
Yeah, he's a British Brock. Yeah, he's kind of like he's one of our guys.
That's the one. The Brock and Brock connection. Yeah. The famous tag team.
Hand puppet Mr. Brocco.
Yep. All right, Brock Death.
He's your favourite Brock.
Tell us your favourite Brocks down below and check out this video right here. You'll enjoy that, and we'll be back later. Bye. Cheers.